It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. In honor of St. Patrick's Day, I thought it'd be fun to bring up an article that was published back in 2020. And this was published by none other than the legend, the man, the myth, Mike Cohn. And here's what he said. He started out by saying, Happy St. Patrick's Day. The pop history version of St. Patrick's Day tells us we are celebrating him driving the snakes out of Ireland. If you could, what would you have someone come drive out of your agile process or your agile adoption? Oh, wow, he went there. So the history tells us that St. Patrick obviously was celebrated for driving snakes out of Ireland. So I guess the question is, what snakes do you have to drive out of your agile implementation? He goes on, would you drive out someone forcing you to standardize things that don't necessarily need to be standardized? I once worked in an organization that had mandated all daily stand ups or all daily scrums for all teams had to happen between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. A popular book says all daily scrums must be conducted left to right. That's crazy. Or would you drive out daily scrums altogether? A lot of people don't like the idea of meeting daily. It just hurts our productivity, they tell me. Indeed, for probably 10 minutes a day, people are getting less done. But for the rest of the day, hopefully, people feel more energized, having learned what their colleagues are doing, or they've avoided a mistake that could have been made if everyone didn't talk once a day as a full group. Or each person feels a small, nice amount of peer pressure to not show up at the daily stand up tomorrow without some progress to report, even if it's minimal some days. Maybe you get rid of iterations or sprints and go for a more Kanban like approach. Maybe you just want to get rid of estimates altogether and go with no estimates, right? Now, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I think you see where he's going here. There's lots of things that need to be changed in many of our activities. And the question then changes or shifts to, is there actually a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? I think that's a good question. Because St. Patrick was Irish, it's impossible to think about this day without also thinking about leprechauns. Hey, here we go. While I know leprechauns are not real, truth, neither is Nessie, Bigfoot, mermaids, and non fat delicious cheesecake. I've had some good non fat anyway. But that doesn't stop a small part of me from wishing that they were. Amen, brother. I think it'd be cool to have Bigfoot and mermaids and heaven forbid, if there was non-fat delicious cheesecake, I'd be all over it. Who wouldn't love to follow a leprechaun to the end of the rainbow where the leprechaun would be forced to give you his pot of gold? A pot of gold might be great, especially with the price of gold these days. But what's even better is to find at the end of the rainbow would be all the benefits of a thriving agile adoption. Because if you have a thriving agile adoption, obviously, it's going to be worth more than a pot of gold. And I firmly agree with that. Currently, projects in agile organizations are more likely to be delivered successfully, and they'll deliver more value at a lower cost with greater predictability and lower risk if done properly. Users and customers are therefore happier. Team members are more productive and happier. And there's a ton of other benefits that just come with following some simple, basic, agile guidelines. What I can tell you is I think we've lost sight of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We become frustrated or flabbergasted with the way that we have to implement things. We've been forced into structure and rigidity about the way that we approach work. We haven't necessarily tackled things in a way that makes sense when it comes to agile behavior. So I think a big part of this is a request. So I guess my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow would be a review of the way we're currently doing things and an assessment, introspect to say what types of things could we do or types of things could we change and how could we what are the snakes that we want to chase out versus what are the things that we want to make sure that we solidify. And I think that sometimes we look past the easy things and think that everything is hard when in actuality there are small iterative changes that we can make that would really help us take things to a new level, help us get a lot further along in our agile implementation. So my challenge to you this St. Patrick's Day is to not only eat a bowl of cabbage or whatever you do to celebrate your corned beef hash, right? What I want you to do also is I want you to think about what snakes you need to drive out and how would you go about making improvements to what you're currently doing so that you can figure out or achieve or recognize a new and different pot of gold at the end of your rainbow. So I hope you're having an amazing day. Top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And if there's ever anything that we can do to help you with your agile approach or help you discover that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, don't hesitate to reach out to us at training@agiledad.com. We would love to learn more about how agile coaching or training can help impact your organization. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.